Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day, y'all. Welcome back to another live segment. I want to first remind everybody, now that we have a YouTube channel up and going, to please get on the YouTube channel, go hit that like button, subscribe. We're trying to gain and build that audience as well as our Facebook audience on the page. So please make sure you go like and subscribe so we can get some bigger sponsors than Bang. So that is one of our proud sponsors for today, is Bang Energy Drinks. Thank you. But yes, just want to see if y'all can help us with that. Please like, subscribe. And then right now, those that are watching, please share the page. Share it. Let's get this out there. We got a good segment to talk about today with my buddy Dylan Shively. First off, let's just start with that, man. I want to get that going, get things going. How can people find you?
Best way, search on Facebook, Dylan Shively. Or just go to our website, honestly. Like, I direct so many people to the website because I love saying, like, reach out and shoot me a message, and I try my best to get back all the time.
Dude, I'm bad about that myself.
Sometimes I don't, and then I feel super bad because I'm leading them somewhere and I can't always follow through. So actually, just go to our website, jameswarrengroupinc.com. That is the best way to get connected, see what we're doing, and stay consistent with us.
Nice. Well, I wanted to bring you on today, man, because I wanted to try to give the audience, some either news, information, maybe even just sharing our opinion on things when it comes to what's going on right now with the economy, what's going on with what you're noticing with credit. I also want to talk about things about credit. One of the things that I was curious about too is some of the biggest myths that a lot of people don't know about. Some of the biggest, easiest ways you can boost your credit, things like that. So we're going to dive into all of that. But first want to see, like, what actually got you started into the credit repair business?
So I was my first client.
Yeah.
So the short version, because we'd probably be here the first hour just on that, but the short version was I was my own first client because I was in car sales for quite a few years, and then after I transferred over to Verizon, and then after Verizon is when I went into credit repair. But from the car sales time, it was 100% commission. Yeah. This is why I'm super relatable to, like, a lot of real estate agents and stuff too, because I know the life. I did it for years.
Yeah.
And when things were good, I was buying everything. I'm a huge car person. So I was buying cars. I was living in an apartment that didn't even need that many rooms because it was just me. And I was just living, above my means. Yeah. And then when I started to have a couple short weeks, well, the bills were still due. Mm-hmm. And then that started to accumulate over time, and I started getting into debt. I was racking up credit cards, trying to maintain the lifestyle that I built instead of humbling myself down or not even taking the jump initially. I should have waited longer, but I was young. I didn't care. I thought the money was infinite. Like, everybody's going to be buying these cars, and I'm always going to make money. Yeah. Hired a company. And they were debt consolidation, so they weren't credit repair, but I didn't know the difference. Yeah. Pretty much what I did is I went to Google and I was like, hey, how do I undo this? This is bad. Where can I go for guidance? And when I hired the company, I didn't know. They had these big fees. They didn't really tell me a lot of stuff. I signed up because I trusted them. They had a couple good reviews, but I didn't know that, and this is a tip, by the way, guys. Any business you want to ever do business with, when they have a lot of reviews, don't just click the reviews and go through them. You have to filter them to the most recent. So filter them to the most recent, because they may have they may be a 4.8 with 1,000 reviews, and you're like, oh, that's pretty good. Yeah. But if you don't filter to the most recent, you won't know if they just started coming and were good reviews, or if most recently something's changed and everybody's giving bad reviews.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. That's a good point.
Yeah. So that was my mistake that I learned from, and the first tip I wanted to share is filter that shit. Yeah. Because if I would have did that, I would have never signed up. Yeah. So quick example, they have a 25% fee of the enrolled amount. That's how they get paid. So think, for every $1,000, you're going to pay them $250, and you're not going to qualify for the program unless you have at least $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 that you need to enroll, because it doesn't make sense to do under that. So they're making a lot of money. I put money in this escrow account, and it was every week they would just take money out. Well, then I stopped the auto withdrawal because I wanted to hear from them. And so the only time I would ever get
That's a quick way to get their attention.
Yeah, that's the only way I would get their attention. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, you know how the phone works. But like when I had questions about why does my scores keep going down? Why is this, happening? And they wouldn't answer. They just said, oh, this is normal. And they'd leave it alone. I'm like, okay, trusting them at first, but then it starts to get irritating. Yeah. So I canceled with them. They kept about the remaining $2,500 or so of my money. And I was like, I'm going to do this thing myself. And it took me a very long time to figure it out, but I got through it and I did it.
Yeah.
And then that's what formed here. I just pretty much said, if there's companies like this that exist, and there's people like me that have this kind of experience negatively, I can't be the only one, and I could do this way better than they can.
Yep.
And I'm competitive naturally, so it was more in spite to say, let me fix myself and prove them that I can do better.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. It's funny because when you're saying this, I think about why most, at least from what I've noticed, why most people get into real estate and become realtors. They're usually getting into real estate because they recently bought a home or sold a home and they felt that, you know what, my realtor, that seemed like that was easy for my realtor. So I think I can do it better. Let me get in and it's hit or miss on if they end up being better or not, or they end up succeeding or not in the business. Cause there's so many other factors when you get in real estate or just in business in general, when it comes to learning how you're 1099 now, you're self-employed. So learning how to budget, business expenses and personal expenses. And then of course, learning how to market myself and learning how to sell real estate, learning the contracts, learning, it's a plethora of things to where, I get that though. You fed yourself that information and did your research and it took you a while, like you said. Just curious, how like years, months?
No, it took me under a year, but I was very close to that year mark just to get myself in a better position than what I was. Yeah. So I went up a little over 200 points in that time because I didn't realize what was causing the score to fluctuate. Yeah. And that's why my classes and stuff really focus on that, because it's not really exciting, but I feel like it's almost like that game. Like, let's give this boring information nobody will ever research, but this is the answer on how to win at the game. Yeah. Just like in real estate. Like for me, before I started meeting agents, I thought all right, you show a house, they say yes, you probably sign a thing or two like a car, and then you get 10 grand. I thought that's how it worked. But then sitting and learning from you guys and just these classes and these seminars that get put on, I'm like, damn, 10 grand ain't enough. That's a lot of stuff you got to do. And obviously that's an example number. They always fluctuate, but I thought it was a lot easier than what it really was. Yeah. And honestly, credit is a little bit easier. Actually, a whole lot easier to for somebody to do themselves. Yeah. Especially now, and that's why I educate people to do it.
Nice. I like it, man. And that's why I feel like we hit it off right away, is because we both come from a place of serving and value, leading with value and educating others, right? You educate through credit repair with teaching people how credit scores work. Like you said, I've sat in on those classes. They're really dope. I love to educate as well, and I love training agents and how to grow their business. And so I agree. I feel like that's where we relate a lot. You said something that I wanted to touch on, that I feel like is a very common thing in our country right now is living above your means, right? We've all been guilty of that, like myself as well included, and so I've noticed and that seems like a constant thing that's brought up a lot in, within the news or whatever it may be, is we're so bad about living above our means right now and that can make differences in regards to, the hourly pay, whatever the what do they call it? Oh my gosh, I can't think. Minimum wage, of course. Oh, yeah. Based on the minimum wage, whatever it may be, if you have a degree, whatever it may be. But we're so bad about our I don't know if we're taught that, influenced that. I feel like it comes from different avenues, but it just seems like it's so crazy that our country is known for living above our means.
I think half of the world, for the true motivated person, I know for me, that was my outlook when I was selling cars, knowing that I can control how much I make if I just put in more effort. Yeah. I used buying a car or upgrading things as a means of, that's what motivated me to want to go harder, to see what my potential was. Yeah. But I think what happens with most people, and normally I don't blame social media for stuff. This is the one thing I think I might, because everybody posts their highlight reels. Yep. And so we're always wanting to see how we're doing compared to other people. And social media makes that very easy.
Very true.
You may see the person with the nice car, but you don't know that they're financing it at 18%.
Exactly.
Right? You may see the very nice home, but you may not realize it's not in their name.
Yeah.
Like there's always another part to the story. But I think if we stop comparing, this is a big thing. You know, I don't think it's just going to happen because I'm saying it. But I think if we can learn how to, over time, stop comparing ourselves to other people, like, don't compare your chapter 1 in your life to somebody's chapter 20.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't know what chapter of their life they're on and how long they've been doing it.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to scroll and be like, damn, I like that car. Why don't I have that car? Right. And then you want to hang out with that person. So you think you got to buy a car equivalent to that in order to get into their group.
Yep.
So we associate these material things. And I like material stuff. I'm not materialistic, but I like, who doesn't like a nice car? Who doesn't like a nice house? Anybody who says, no, I don't need it versus liking it is completely different.
Yeah.
Everybody would like to have it, but once you assess the amount of work it takes to get it, that's what really differentiates the person.
Yeah.
But I think we focus too much on, I want to be in this group. And so for me to be in this group, I feel like I got to have this or do this. And we put ourselves in these financial holes.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep up with the Joneses.
I agree. And I can't remember who said it. I listened to it one time on a podcast where, or maybe it was just a reel that was being shared. And I can't remember his name, but he was just like, man, we have a problem. You know what? It was what's his name?
Gary Vee?
Gary Vee. And he was like, stop buying shit to impress people that
you don't even like.
That you don't even like.
Yep.
You know, and it's like we buy things, we brag about it on social media to impress people that don't even matter in our lives, you know?
Yep.
And so it's so true. Like you see that so much. And so now it's just like, man, you know what? He's got a point. I don't need to post about that. I don't need to post to impress anybody.
Exactly.
Like, you know, I talk about some random shit sometimes that people are like, bro, you're TMI in the aspect of like sharing a little too much that would normally embarrass someone. And I'm like, I don't give a shit, you know?
For every person I may embarrass because you're more conservative, there's somebody that I'm helping or inspiring or whatever.
Exactly. And you know, it's so true. Also, just touching on what you said, we were talking about it before the podcast started was, you know, I talked about 4.5 years ago, I posted my testimony. And prior to that, I wouldn't open up. Right? Like I wouldn't talk about my struggles in the past or anything like that. And about 4.5 years ago, I posted my testimony and it talked about, you know, my drug addiction when I was younger. It talked about me selling drugs when I was younger, breaking into cars, just doing a lot of bad shit that
hood rat
shit that a lot of people that have met me since I've gotten in real estate are like, dude, I would have never thought that about you. I would have never guessed that about you. Like, that's the most common thing I get told is, I don't even see you being that person in the past. And I'm like, yeah, that was me. I'm not proud of it. I'm ashamed of it. But at the same time, I'm now also not afraid to talk about it, you know, because I have that growth. I have this different mindset, you know, and now my beliefs and my faith, everything's just different now. But I was influenced by Pastor Ed, where he had said, you know, oftentimes, it was in one of his sermons, he was like, oftentimes people, you'll notice on social media, people always post about their highlights, their bragging moments, the great moments in their life. He was like, how often do you see people post about their struggles? You know, and I was like, man, I never see that shit.
No,
I never see
don't.
that. And so he even said during the sermon, he was like, I challenge you this week to go and share some struggles on your social media and so that maybe it can give light to others. And that influenced me, man. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to post my testimony. I'm going to talk about it. And like I told you, man, I was blown away about the feedback that I got. And since then, it's allowed me to feel comfortable with just opening up completely. Now I'm a complete open book, man. I'll talk about whatever. I don't care. I'm not embarrassed of anything. And so,
and you shouldn't be. You shouldn't have to hold back. Like, and I think that comes from, we're so worried about what other people think, which aligns with the same, this is why people only post the highlight reels, because we're so wrapped up in what other people think that now we're dictating or deciding, do I want to talk about that or do I not want to talk about that, because we're trying to fit in with other people.
We're trying to fit in, exactly.
Instead of like just being who we want to be or who we're supposed to be.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. There's one thing I want to add to that you said, like, where he was telling you, like, I challenge you to post your struggle. I want to add another part to this is I'd like to also challenge everybody else to, when you see other people posting their highlight reel, don't judge them for doing that because you don't know how many losses they've had.
Yeah.
And this may be that one big win for them. So let's not worry about figuring out why somebody's doing what they're doing. Just clap for them.
Yeah.
Right? Just like, regardless,
agree,
like
man.
you have to clap for them instead of thinking, you know, the initial thought of, you know, oh, I wonder how they got that, or I wonder this, or I wonder this.
Yeah.
Stop fucking wondering. Just be happy for them.
Exactly.
Post your congratulations, like it, love it, do whatever, and support them.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, you're now telling the universe that, hey, I like when people win these things and do these things. And then naturally you're given that. But if you have those nasty internal thoughts and sometimes you let them come out and, you know, you tell somebody else, yo, did you see so-and-so post this? Yeah, well, I bet it took them this to get that. Like when you start doing that, you start telling the universe, I don't like success. I don't like those things. And then you wonder why you never have it.
Very true, man. That's like, that ties into where, you know, people get upset with, you know, when someone will post something good that they did, right? Like a good deed or,
it happened to me.
Yeah, man. And I'm more of you know what, if I see that on my timeline, I'm going to go like it. I'm going to go share it. I'm going to go support that post because you know, people were like, oh, well, you know, it'd be much more meaningful if you didn't have to share it with the world. And it's like, nah, man, I don't see it that way. Like, I'd rather see more positive stuff like this on my social media than negative stuff, you know? So I'm all about that. Like, if you did a good deed and you want to share it with the world, broadcast it with the world, great thing, do it, you know? But I don't know, man. I just don't agree with that mindset of people saying, oh, well, you know, he's only doing it or she's only doing it because they're doing it for attention or for likes. And it's like, man, like, that's not cool. Like, I still rather see something positive, you know? So
here's two parts of that because this literally happens. So what we do is every single month, my wife and I decide we're gonna just do some random act of kindness. That's our thing. Every single month, no matter what. So it was a couple months ago where it blew up in a negative way, but I forgot what the thing was. We were like giving money or doing something. Oh no, it was the tip. I left a pretty sizable tip for a waitress just randomly. And it wasn't like and this is good too, so I'm not bashing it, but like, it wasn't like, oh, let's get the group of people so everybody only has to pay $100 to give them like a big tip. It was just my wife and I going out to, I think it was Red Robin. And so
unlimited fries.
Yeah, they're so good.
my kids love that spot. I love taking my kids to that spot.
The smoke and pepper ketchup is like my favorite, right? It is my favorite, right? So like, Red Robin, please send me some smoke and pepper ketchup. Anyway, so I make the post and it's blowing up. And there was these random people. We're not friends on Facebook. We have no mutual friends because it got that big. And they came at me with the whole, oh, you're posting this for your ego, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? You don't see my DMs right now. What me posting that did inspired other people that were taking pictures that maybe are more conservative than me. And they were DMing me pictures that I just happened to be out to eat, and that motivated me to do this, and I wanted to do it.
Like, I love
and
that.
That was the purpose. It was to inspire other people to say, I want to do something good today. To spread the positivity and help other people.
For sure.
But the people that see it negatively, again, I'm always going to use this term, audit their life. Go look through their stuff, and you're going to see they're naturally unhappy and they're looking for ways for other people to, bring them down. So now I just ignore them. I used to go back and forth with them. But then I realized if I go back and forth with them, I'm just like them. So I rather
and you're not going to change their mind.
No.
The likelihood of you changing their negative
50
mindset.
this side, 50 that side. Exactly.
You know, man, so it's crazy. Now you reminded me, I think it was about 5-6 years ago, there was this story that I saw on the news on Facebook, and it was a kid that, and gosh, I believe I'm still friends with his family on social media, but there was this kid that was on the news, teenage kid that had autism, and he was walking to school. He missed the bus ride. He takes the bus to school, high school kid, right? 15, 16 years old. He was, somewhere around there, 15, 16 years ago. He was walking to school and they jumped him. Stole his shoes, stole his wallet. He had a couple bucks on him, and it went on the news, and it showed him all beat up with his shirt all torn, and he was autistic. And man, I reached out. I think I had posted on the article, like, is there any way I can find this kid? You know, it was just in my heart. Like, let me see what I can do, right? And sure enough, bro, like, I don't know, I can't remember exactly how it happened, but someone got me in contact with his family member. So I'm communicating with the mom, and I'm like, look, I'd love to do this, right? Can I meet y'all at the mall and take him shopping to get some? It was that same day too, or maybe the next day. But I asked him, can I meet you at the mall? Take him to buy some shoes, new backpack. They stole his backpack. So we go to the store, and I'm in my head thinking like, oh, I want to get this kid some fresh Jordans or something, you know? And we're at the mall, and I'm like, bro, just pick out any pair of shoes you want. And he picked out some like $25 Nikes, you know, and so we got him a pair of shoes. I got him a backpack. I gave him some cash, and it was so crazy, man, because in that moment, I was in my mind thinking like, I want to do something good for this person and be a positive influence on him with something that just happened to him. Bro, I started learning things as I'm talking to his mom, and she starts telling me things that I'm like, man, that's what my son struggles with. You know, and as she's starting to tell me more, I'm like sharing with her the challenges that my son has. And I was just like, she introduced me to what was it called? It was a social anxiety disorder that her son has. And she was like, you should have your son tested for it. So then I had my son tested for it. Sure enough, they diagnosed him with the same thing. And I'm like, who would have thought I was showing up to help this kid, and I got much more value out of it because she was sharing info with me about her son, and I was blown away by it. Well, sure enough, we walk out the store, she asked, and like I said, I have her and his sister on my social media till this day, so they can vouch for it. I didn't ask for a photo, right? She asked. She was like, can I get a picture with you and my son? I was like, sure, let's do it. So we take this picture. I asked her, could you share it with me? I posted it, you know, to share my good deed, right? Like, you know, let's turn this negative story into a positive story. Bro, it had like thousands of likes and comments on it. And of course, there was some in there talking trash and saying things and, oh, you're only doing it for social media and blah, blah, blah. The news reached out to me and asked if they can do a segment. Wow. I told them no. I was like, look, I'm not interested. The story's not on me, it's on him. Right. So here's his mom's number. Yeah, I was like, here's his mom's number. Sure enough, they did a story with her. Like, it was really cool, man. But I agree. I ran into that situation where I had some negative people commenting on it as well. So sucks, man. All right, let's get into this topic, man, because this wasn't even what we were going to talk about. But of course, that's what's known on the Sauce Podcast is we just freestyle. Please make sure, again, that y'all like, subscribe, comment, get on my YouTube channel. Let's grow that following, please. It's the Sauce Podcast with AJ Reygadas. But help me grow this so that way we can get some more sponsors besides Bang energy drinks in the morning. But yeah, so first thing I want to talk on is the health of the economy right now and your thoughts, man. So, you know, let's get your thoughts first. I'm curious to see. So
things are bad. How can I say this? It's going to sound negative, but you'll understand in a second. Things are always going to be bad in some way, shape, or form financially. We talked about where a majority of the people are trying to keep up with the Joneses, so they're not spending correctly. We're also not getting educated enough thoroughly and consistently on the proper do's and don'ts. We've been burned by so many people before in various situations that, you know, we reserve back, and when the next person says, hey, let me show you how to do this, for the small percentage of people that do, we back off because we're like, I had a previous bad experience. So we discount the person trying to help them or trying to help you because of a previous bad experience. So in a mixture of those things, of course, the economy is going to have some struggles because, one, things are going up, right? And it gets posted every single day. Gas is only getting more expensive. We just went shopping yesterday, and my wife was saying, like, oh, I remember this pack of chicken was like $10 or $11. Now it's like 17 to 19.
Crazy, dude. I was just getting groceries last night, and I was thinking the same thing. I was like,
so
wow.
So things go up, right? But I think the issue is that when things go up, we're just not set up to plan for it on how we're going to course correct or adjust. At the end of the day, there is nothing that on an individual basis that we can do that is going to make things cheaper.
Yeah.
Collectively, sure.
Yeah.
But on an individual basis, there's nothing that you can do right now that's going to make gas any cheaper, food any cheaper. So instead of being stuck into the mindset of, man, it's so bad and it's so bad. All right, well then, sorry guys, I say fuck a lot, but
it's all right. It's all right.
What the fuck are you going to do about it?
Yeah. It's spending habits too, man.
Right. Like let's go look at what you're currently spending your money on.
Yeah.
And let's go look at the things that you have to spend your money on. And you may have to sacrifice a little bit. What do you mean I can't go to Dunkin'?
Yeah.
Well, hey, there's little ways that you can make adjustments to offset things. The great thing about the commission-based people, real estate agents and all, is you have the ability to do more.
Yeah.
Right. And not everybody's granted that opportunity.
True.
But if we can all come together instead of, hating on a positive post and doing those things, like, I feel like correcting those actions will put you into the mindset and like the abundance mindset, I would call it. Yeah. That if we're all giving and helping and coming from a place of understanding, we can collectively work together to at least get through whatever times are happening now, rather than having that victim mindset of things are so bad and everybody feel bad for me.
Yeah.
Let's come together and do something different. If you want change to happen, the change has to start with you. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to spread that to your sphere of influence and let that replicate instead of condoning the conversation of agreeing on how expensive gas is or how expensive chicken is. And like, that doesn't solve anything. Stop focusing on the problem and focus on the solution or ways to solve a problem. And all of a sudden the problem eventually does not exist.
Yeah.
But that's
true, man. It's crazy because where I can relate to that specifically is the conversations we've been having to have lately with our clients. Everyone knows the big talk right now is the real estate market and how it's shifting. We're experiencing this curve right now, and it's correcting itself, or in the process of correcting itself. And rates have skyrocketed just over the past few months. Rates have skyrocketed, and it's causing buyers that are pre-approved and out shopping for homes where, they once got pre-approved, for a low 3% interest rate, now are looking at 5-6% on interest rate. And that bumps up their payment on average anywhere from $100 to $300 a month, where they're just like, well, I can't afford that anymore. And it's like, you actually can. Yep. If you look at your spending habits on those bank statements, you're spending a good $400 or $500 a month on junk food, DoorDash, BS stuff, to where it's like, if you cut that stuff out, if you really want to be a homeowner and you cut that stuff out, you'll make it happen. Trust me, you'll make it happen.
And let me just say, because I don't financially benefit one penny from this. Anybody who's watching that is not in real estate, the best time to buy it is right away, and find a way to afford it now, because as quick as rates went down and then go back up, one thing you can count on is that rates will always fluctuate. Yeah. So as long as you own the home, you always have the opportunity to refinance and put yourself in a better position later.
For sure.
But if you can look at and audit your spending habits, look at those bank statements like you said, and you can figure out how to afford it now, you're eventually going to create a habit to where you've now fit that into the budget, just like you fit that $400 a month in DoorDash and all those other things we spend money on.
I'm guilty of that myself for my son, bro.
Dude, it's bad.
He's spending $200 $100 a week on DoorDash. So we're guilty on it myself.
It's so bad, but it's so easy and it's so convenient because people will always pay for convenience.
Very true.
Well, owning real estate can be very convenient once the process is done, because now it puts you in the power seat to increase net worth, to be able to have fluctuation in, like, let's say as you're paying it down, well, now you're going to build equity. And if you're ever in a pinch and you need to come across money, you can do a home equity line of credit. Or if you want to build a real estate portfolio, you can use that equity to get another one. If you need to pay off debt, whatever it is you need to do, that asset allows you to do it. And guys, I'm not a real estate agent. So I'm not like saying like, you know, like I understand how it works because it's my job to make sure that I know how to do these things. And guess what? You can't get the first one, the second one, you can't get any of them unless your credit checks out.
Very true. Very true. And so another thing, the benefit, well, I always try to find a positive out of a negative, right?
Yeah.
Interest rates have gone up. Okay, cool. That just means that it's more interest that I'm going to be able to write off.
Right.
On, you know, when it's time to do my taxes, right? I can write off that interest on my mortgage payments. So there's still so many selling points as to why it's a good time to buy right now. But I think everyone's just hitting that panic button. Yes, prices have gone up. Yes, you know, rates have gone up. It's still a good time to buy.
Yeah, because
people are still going to buy.
Because the trend is always going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's always going to fluctuate. And there's not a person on the face of this earth that can tell you what's going to happen in this market 5 years from now.
True.
Everybody can have guesses and trajectories and use AI and all these fancy ways of trying to figure it out, but nobody can guarantee the outcome.
Yeah.
So the only guaranteed thing is as long as you secure the home, now you're in the driver's seat. And based on where the market goes at a time you feel is more beneficial for you, you can always refi, you can do so many things, but the first step is doing it.
Yeah. We'll see. And people keep asking me, you know, that because of the real estate market, whatever it may be, they're like, do you think we're going to have a recession? Do you think we're going to crash? And it's just like, I find a hard time believing we're going to have a recession. I have a hard time believing that we're going to have a market crash. If we do, the only signs, or there's many signs, I'm sure, but the signs that I'm seeing that are kind of obvious to lead that way are going to be from the stock market crashing or, you know, going to war.
Yeah.
If we go to war, you know, I was just watching last night that they're projecting that China at some point before the end of the year is going to start going after Taiwan. And I mean, we got bases over there in Taiwan. We have a lot of military personnel over there in Taiwan. And so if that happens, that's what's going to cause a global recession, you know? And so I'm concerned about us getting involved with, you know, with Ukraine and the Russia thing going on right now. So I'm hoping, you know, the aid I support, but as far as that's it, we got to stay out of it, you know, let them handle their business and we got to worry about our own country for right now.
The best thing you can possibly do is, all right, let me start with this. So I say all the time, do you walk outside and open an umbrella every single day?
No.
You don't, right?
No.
But one day it's going to rain.
Yeah. I
So
still
don't
probably
you- don't
forget
you
to
wanna-
take my umbrella though, but
Right? Like, no, but one day it's going to rain. So
Yeah.
why don't you bring it every single place you go? It just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
right? So why do we worry about something that may happen in 6 months or a year and a half, 2 years, something that may never happen? We don't know
True.
what's going to happen, but the only way to gain a true control over what's going to happen is gaining control of the things you do every day.
Exactly.
So if you're worried about a recession, start acting like someone who's in it now. Start preparing. You know, like for the agents, go sell more real estate. Whatever it is that you do at work, keep doing it better. Promote yourself. You know, start working in preparation for it in the sense of take more action now instead of worrying about and focusing all your time on what may happen.
Yeah.
Because the unknown freaks a lot of people out.
it's very true, man.
So how about you focus on today and what you do different
What you
today?
can control.
Right.
Yeah.
And the next day, and the next day, and the next day. So then that way, when you start changing and gaining control of the things that you can control, every day starts to look different and you can almost dictate what's going to happen on a daily basis because you then start to control it. You still can't control what happens big picture, but you can at least start to control what your day looks
Your
like.
personal picture.
And that's why I'm one of those people that I just don't watch the news because I know, I should be aware and whatever, but there is, in my whole 28, about to be 29 years of living, there has never been one single person that has controlled the overall quality of my lifestyle that was not myself. There was nobody ever that, this new law passed and this happened. Okay, I'm still going to work every day. I'm still doing this. I'm still helping people. I'm still doing whatever. Control the controllables. Control what you can do. Don't focus on the outside stuff. If we all worry about trying to develop to be the best version of ourselves, none of that shit's gonna matter.
Exactly. Man, we're cooking the sauce right now. We're cooking the sauce.
The bang's kicking in.
Yeah, the bang is kicking in. I'm done, man. But yeah, hey, guys, again, please like, follow, share. Like, follow, share. Go on to my YouTube channel, The Sauce Podcast with AJ Reygadas. Make sure that you're subscribing, guys. Give me some feedback. Give me some comments. Let me know what y'all are thinking. But yeah, man, I agree completely, man. It's the same thing that when it's election season, right? Or it's election year. You know, I've been in real estate through now 2 different parties. as far as holding office. And, you know, the big thing back then when Obama was running was, oh, we're going to go into recession. We're going to experience this and we're going to experience that. And sure enough, we went into a recession. But at the same time, I learned during that time that it doesn't matter who's leading us as far as our nation. As long as I control what I can control with my business, I'm going to be good.
Yep.
You know, I'm going to be good. Let them, what party's in office, whatever it may be, and you know, all that jazz, like let them deal with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to deal with what I can control. And it's so true, man. So even, you know, when Trump came into office and now, you know, dealing with Biden, like all that shit, I'm just like, man, I don't want to say I don't care, but at the same time, it's like, I'm good.
Right.
I just got to worry about me and my people and we're good. You know,
exactly.
So I agree.
I've never seen, so like, you know, like my dad likes watching the news and my mother-in-law likes watching the news and I love my dad, right? But you have to realize after somebody watches the news, look at their aura, look at their energy. Like there's never anything that like they don't finish watching it and they're not like motivated to dominate the fucking world and to do something great. Like it's always something negative.
They're ready to fight.
Right. It's always combative and there's always this negative connotation and this negative energy.
Yep.
And that's also the same thing with social media. So this is not a popular opinion because I see all these people go on social media cleanses and whatever and all this weird shit. The reason that I say it's weird is because you have the opportunity to unfriend and unfollow people if you don't like what you're seeing.
Exactly.
You can change what you're watching if you want to truly change your thought process and what you're feeding your brain.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with the news. That's the same thing with anything you're watching. You have control over if you absorb it or not.
Amen.
But
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree, man. No, it's so true. Like I'm so hyperly focused with my social media that when I am on social media, I'm either liking or congratulating or supporting someone that I see a post.
Yes.
Or if I see something negative, I'm like, unfollow.
Right.
Unfollow. And I'll be honest, man, like, so I don't follow any news outlets on my social media. I don't need to see that breaking news or that, you know, just happened type of thing.
You know why? Because the rest of your friends will share the shit.
Exactly. They will. And then I'll see it and I might comment on it. But no, man, I don't care to see any of that crap. I like seeing positive things on my social media. And for the most part, that's all I see now. It's every now and then I'll see someone post something negative and I'm like, let me just unfollow them. I don't need to see that.
That's any social media platform. If someone says, man, I got to cleanse from Facebook because there's a bunch of bad shit. Well, guess what? When you reactivate it because you didn't change anything, you're going to still see it. Oh, I don't like TikTok because it does this. Okay, well, if you don't like TikTok for the stuff that it shows, guess what? It produces a news feed based on the stuff you watch.
You're causing it.
You have to change what you're doing if you want to see change happen.
That's so true, man. That's so true. Let's talk about this, man. So consumer credit for the U.S. and your thoughts. So obviously we're known for having a lot of debt. We're known for living above our means. You know, again, like, what's your opinion right now, or what's your thoughts on overall the credit healthiness within our consumers, our citizens of the country? You know, like what are you noticing that we're doing, and has that elevated since COVID 2020? You know, because another thing that I've noticed too is that they've talked about is so many people's 401ks have been depleted since COVID of 2020. You know, and so it's crazy to see that now. And now being in real estate 12 years, down payment assistance has become a thing again, where the past several years it wasn't a thing, you know, and it hasn't been a thing since when I first got into real estate, and now it's a thing again because a lot of people have depleted their savings, and it seems like a lot of people forgot how to save again. You know, so
because they're too busy spending money in the places they shouldn't be spending
in the club.
And let me tell you, like, there's a lot of people, because I don't want to discount this either. Yes, it's easy to talk about the people that overspend on the things that aren't necessary, but there's also a lot of people that have kids and they're single parents.
Yeah,
and like,
true.
There's a lot of situations where people have to do it and they're absolutely trying their best.
Thank you for saying that, because we were probably going to get hit by someone on that.
Probably. But like, there are people that are absolutely trying their best.
Yeah.
But here's the difference of someone who is absolutely trying their best versus somebody who's just spending stupidly.
Yeah.
They were exposed to two different lifestyles. They have two different experiences, two different ways of being raised. So that's why I made it my job to say when the company's being formed, even in the logo, if you notice, it's credit education even before the repair. If people could just get more educated, and first you have to be open-minded to the education. You can't think you know everything because usually the people in both situations think they know everything. So if you could be open-minded to taking advice from someone who's in the position that you would want to be, that's also another thing. And let me give some credit where it's due. Anybody who knows Matt Dela Cruz, the way that he says it is you can't give what you don't possess. Right?
Yep.
So in that situation, somebody has to be financially sound, I believe, in order to give financially sound advice to help people in either situation.
Very true.
And the person who is struggling, the reason that they could be struggling is because their level of exposure to other opportunities or experiences they've had. So it's people like Mize. It's Mize now. I barely graduated high school, guys. It is my job to make sure that I can take what I've learned coming from a similar experience and saying, here's how I got out of it. So it is not that single parent's fault that they're spending all of their money on their kids, because naturally that's what most single parents do. They want to, all parents want to give their kids the life that they never had, or give them things, right? So they've went through a certain part of life and now they're struggling. So how do we help them? The way to help them is to expose them to a different way of thinking, a different way of operating, a different way of looking at their financials, because I forget the exact percentage. If I said a number, I'd be making it up, but I know it's a very high number of divorces happen due to money. Right? Or a lack thereof. Like somebody overspending.
I think that is the biggest reason as to why divorces happen.
So if we can understand on how to change our habits, which that'll only happen if we're giving content to let people learn themselves and put things like this out there to say, hey, there's another way to do this. And let's help both sides. The person who overspends and spends all the money at the club, hey, let me tell you why that money could be better spent over here. And I can't force you on what to do, but if I can expose you to a different perspective than what you've already been doing. And same thing with the single parent with kids, or even just the single person that can't find a job that's paying enough. There's always these situations. Hey, it's okay. 2, let me show you how to correct it. And then 3, it's up to you to do it.
Exactly. So that's what I wanted to say too, man, is it's one thing to expose them to this new, or not, I shouldn't say new, but this other idea of how to help change someone's mindset. They got to be wanting to change as well, though.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing. It's almost like a war of finding those people that how we can educate them, but at the same time, they have to want to be open to receiving that education too.
Exactly.
And that, I think, is an even bigger challenge, because like you said, people have created these habits that they've been living in for so long, to where it's like, this is the fun. This is why I fund my fun, right? And now it's like, well, now you want to educate me on how to save, but that's not fun. It's the fun is being out with my friends every night and drinking or whatever.
It's chess versus checkers, right? So you can have the fun now. I'm not saying don't have fun now, as long as you're okay with that being the most fun you're ever going to have for your whole life.
Exactly.
Right?
Damn.
Where if you can say, I'm willing to, and this is a Gary Vee thing where he says, like, he always says, oh, I eat shit, blah, blah, blah. Right? So like, if you're willing to eat shit for like 2 to 5 years, you can have a different level of fun for the rest of your life. Which one are you willing to do? Right. And it depends on who they're following on social media and whose highlight reels that they're looking at, because we're always trying to keep up with the people that we think are successful. Well, again, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 20. How about you look at the things that you really want in life and say, okay, am I willing to give this part up for a temporary amount of time so I can have a different level of fun the rest of my life?
Damn.
And most people don't think that way. And that's okay. I'm not shaming people for that. That's the exposure I'm talking about. This conversation doesn't happen for a lot of people, right? Because a lot of people don't think this way, so they don't talk about it. That's the whole circle, right? And no, I don't want to do it. Okay, I'm not going to force you. But don't be upset when you see the person next to you that you've been friends with for a while, when you guys start to disconnect because they chose a different path. You ever wonder why some of your friendships change, and the people from high school and all of that, like they all take different paths. And, so we see somebody become that overnight success, but we don't understand it took 5 years of sacrifice for you to see that overnight success.
That's why whenever I've done things or gone on trips or something and people are like, oh, you're lucky or you must be lucky.
That is the most disrespectful term
you have
ever.
no idea what I've done to do this or get this,
Yes.
So it's not luck. It's hard work ethic,
Right. What should be said instead of, wow, you're so lucky, is, damn, it looks like you worked really hard and I admire that.
Yeah.
Because saying somebody is lucky for enjoying this shit is one of the most disrespectful things you can say to somebody, because you never get lucky. It is 100% of the time you put in a whole lot of work and you sacrifice a whole lot more than the person saying you're lucky.
Exactly. Unless I won the lottery. Then I got lucky.
Then you got lucky.
Then I got lucky.
You had to spend a lot of money and not feed your kids to buy tickets in order to win that money.
Man.
But
I was chatting with my friend not too long ago, and I was talking about, we were talking, what would you do if you won the lottery? And I'm like, man, I would get into philanthropy, or talking about how, of course, I'm going to take care of me and my family, but reinvesting and getting into helping others and just doing all these ideas. But I'm like, damn, I got to play it in order to have a chance to win it.
Exactly.
I don't play the lottery.
Exactly.
I don't care to.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I'm gonna mention it because it just happened yesterday. So for you guys who don't know, my wife is right over there. But so we were in HEB, right, overpaying for chicken and shit like that, and then she was just like, hey, can I get cash back? Cause she's paying for groceries. Can I get cash back? He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, I heard it. It was like, oh, it's like a 10, okay? And she's like, no, can I get a 5 and 5 singles? And I'm like, what? And then, so that was her thing. Like, well, I want to win it. And we talk about, like, that emotional feeling you get for that 10 to 15 minutes where you can manifest that the shit's real.
I feel it. It's going to happen. Like, this is my moment.
Right? So, she goes and she buys it, and I was busting her on it. But, she's right. Just like how you said, like, well, if you ever want to win, you have to play the game.
You got to play the game.
Right? So, and that's the same thing, like, when it comes to credit or when it comes to building a business. Like, if you want to win at it, you have to play the game.
Yes.
You can't just wish your way there.
Yes.
But how good did it feel like when you have the conversation in that 10 to 15 minute window of what would you do with it? And you say, I would do this, I would do this. And then you start to believe yourself, right? And then you almost feel like you're already doing it. And that motivates you to really want to go buy it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, if I can really be granted this is what I can do with it.
Yeah.
Well, now what I'm telling you is find the thing that you want to do, and you can still have those goals. But if you can get that same 10 to 15 minute feeling of excitement and motivation and like, this is truly what I would do with this money if I got it, you have the opportunity to go get it. Don't rely on the lottery, rely on yourself. You're good enough to get the shit done, so go after it. If you really truly think that's what you would do with it, then let's go audit your spending. Let's go change these things, because those are the steps you have to take in order for that to happen. Yeah, but buying the lottery is easier. And then I'm like, what the fuck?
Very true. Very true. All right, man. So we're getting low on time. I want to real quick touch on some things.
We can like fire through.
I know,
whatever,
bro.
like.
Yeah, let's do it. So is Credit Karma accurate? Pay attention, y'all. Pay attention. This is a good one.
For my agents on here, how much do you love Zillow?
Oh gosh. I compare Credit Karma to the Zestimate on Zillow.
Correct. Yeah. So Credit Karma to my industry is what Zillow is to your guys' industry.
Yeah.
Now again,
here's
here's level of exposure and just what we're accustomed to. Zillow is just out there a ton. Yeah. So clients or consumers rely on that because that's their most accurate that is their most available source.
Yeah.
Credit Karma is the most talked about and the most available source.
Yeah.
The technicality behind it when it comes to wanting to get a mortgage. Well, in order to get a qualifying mortgage credit score, it's a different version of FICO, and it's your mid score, which
different
means
version of FICO. I like how you said that.
And I'll bring that up. So one, you got to get a mid score for the mortgage score. So you can't get a mid score when Credit Karma gives you 2 credit bureaus. There's no mid in between the two. You got to have 3 to have a middle.
Yeah.
Right? The second part is the version of FICO. So right under those 2 scores, if you guys do open up your app, and which I hope you want to install by the end of this sentence. But if you go ahead and look at those 2 bureaus, you're going to look right under, you're going to see an I with a little circle, and it's the little information thing, and it says calculated using Vantage Score 3.0. Now, the short explanation, to respect the time, is it's not even on the FICO model, right? So the math is different. So more in depth, payment history is the number one influence to your score going up or down on both Vantage Score and FICO.
Yeah.
But it's 35% on FICO, 40% on Vantage. Utilization is 21% on Vantage. It's 30% influence in FICO. So just in those two categories, you can have the same amount of payment history, the same amount of accounts, the same credit card balances.
The metrics
you look
are
at a
off.
Vantage score and a FICO score, it's going to be a 77-point difference.
Wow.
Right? So, because that's just the math.
Yeah.
Now, the issue with that is, okay, well, Dylan, I get it, but where do I go? Where do I go look for it? The only and most accurate source you can ever go to is download the MyFICO app, because that gives you all, and here's this one, 28 of your FICO scores. We have 28 of them.
Wow, I did not know that.
Because there are mortgage credit scores, auto credit scores,
okay, that
credit,
makes sense. Yeah.
right? And there's different versions of FICO. So a mortgage lender, no matter who it is, where it is, they use version FICO 2, 4, and 5.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also FICO 8, 9, 10, 10T. All those different variations of versions are depending on what you're applying for.
Okay.
So the simple is there's a lot of different ways to access your credit score, and you have different credit scores for different credit products.
Yeah.
That's why the score is never the same. But no matter what you want to buy, don't rely on Credit Karma for the scores, because the information is just going to be inaccurate.
Yeah, I love it when those buyers come to us and they're like, "Oh yeah, I checked my credit on Credit Karma. It says it's got an 800 credit score," and I'm like, "Oh shit, here we go."
Right, exactly, and it happens. And I used to have the same thing where, like, because I get it every day. Hey, on Credit Karma, this and this, and I'm like, no worries. I understand that. You've always been taught to look there.
Yeah.
Here's exposure time. Let me give you the most accurate place.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, but I gotta pay $30 to see my scores. Is Credit Karma really that inaccurate? And it's like, yes,
so
it is.
true, man.
Yes, it is.
Oh man.
But, yeah.
All right, real quick, biggest myth about credit scores.
Ooh,
I know there's several.
there's so many.
Which one stands out the most?
That
common?
people think that hard inquiries are the number one killer to their credit
That's
score.
true.
It happens all the time where people say, Dylan, my credit isn't that bad. I have a lot of recent inquiries, and the lender said that's what's killing my credit, and so I need you to wipe all those out. One, nobody can just wipe all or specific whatever.
Yeah.
The honest part of credit repair is, think of us almost like lawyers in a way.
Yeah.
We're going to understand what's going on. We understand the laws that are put in place to protect consumers, and we're going to present your case to the bureaus.
Yeah.
And the bureaus are the ultimate decision makers. Now, you sat in my classes, so I don't have to over-explain it here. Of those 5 categories of what influences a credit score, inquiries are at the bottom. They only control 10% of the score. So an accumulation of them in a short period of time, sure, it can affect the lending decision.
Yeah.
But while inquiries have an impact, things like payment history, so collections, charged off accounts, those have significantly more. Like, if you have a broken lease, that hurts your score more when trying to apply for a mortgage than going to the car dealership and having 10 inquiries. I promise you, they're not going to care about the inquiries more than that broken lease.
Yeah.
So but again, we're only exposed to so much information, which is why I like to educate people to say, let me show you what's really hurting by, here's the facts. The facts are this. So now looking at your credit report and aligning it with the facts, this is what's actually hurting it more than that.
Yeah.
Please let me work on the things that I know that hurt the most.
Yeah.
And I'll coach you throughout and show you what things you could be doing on your end. And in complement, you're going to see how much those inquiries really don't matter.
Dang. Thank God you don't work at the mall, man, because every time I'm buying stuff at the mall, I know that it doesn't impact my credit score that much, but that's my excuse. Oh, no, I can't afford to have anything hit my credit right now.
Yeah.
I can't have any inquiries on my credit right now. And I'll tell them I'm trying to buy a house or something just to get out of the conversation, because I'm
That's
a sucker,
smart.
dude.
That's smart.
I'm a sucker. So I know it doesn't really hurt my credit, but I'm just like, oh, no, I can't right now. I'm in the process of buying a house and I can't. And they'll leave it alone. But if I had someone like you working
I'd call you out.
at Dillard's, I'm like, oh, dude, this dude's going to get me. Like, damn.
You're buying all this shit.
No, but yeah, man, we're going to wrap this up. Dylan, I appreciate having you on this show, sharing your knowledge. We're definitely going to have to do it again.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
there's so many more things I want to go over that you can help educate my viewers on. But real quick, how can people find you again for credit repair?
Yeah, so just go to our website. It's going to be jameswarrengroupinc.com. You'll see the tab that Get Started. There's going to be a whole bunch of explanations of what we do and the process. But if you're interested in talking further, consultations are free. It doesn't cost anything to have a conversation. I would never charge somebody to have a conversation with them and give them some free information or tips and tricks on how they can boost their credit.
Yeah.
But the first step is going to the website so you can at least talk to one of my staff members, if not me.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Want to mention, please follow, like, comment, share. Go on to the YouTube channel, the Sauce Podcast with AJ Reygadas. Again, trying to grow our audience. I hope you enjoyed this segment. Next Wednesday, we have another live segment coming for you. We're going to have, so it's Pride Month. The month of June, it's Pride Month. And so we're gonna have some amazing realtors coming on the segment next week. Of course, my BFF, Brittany Labretta, is gonna be back. Belinda Trevino and Ruben Hernandez share their stories, also share their successes. There's some rock stars in this industry that they're gonna be sharing some of their stories with us next Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I'm also looking forward to, in a couple weeks, we're gonna have the ladies from last week back on the show as well. So be looking out for that as well. But again, thank you for watching and tuning in, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Please reach out to my boy if y'all need some help or some education. He's always willing to help with education. And y'all have a blessed day. Make sure y'all go and make an impact on someone's life. Have a good one, y'all.